We call to order the 43rd regular meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear God, please bless our meeting today. May our discussions be fruitful, our decisions wise, and our community strong. Amen.
Amen.
Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here.
Commissioner Riley.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present. It is now time for public comment. Any member of the public who wishes to address the board, please step forward, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Anyone for public portion?
Good morning. Lindsay Wall, Midland Road in Mentor. Good morning to you commissioners. Happy almost Halloween. Last week, Mr. Hackman talked about how we have a lot of people coming up and saying things, asking questions, and he is right. We have the right to ask questions. I do also very much agree with Mr. Hackman that getting up and name calling and throwing random things out there that have nothing to do with the business of the commissioners it's not good. It's wasting time. However, I'm not saying that everything I say all the time is correct. Let's be clear. But at no point have I accused anyone sitting on the board in front of me of an actual crime. Do I have my own opinion? Of course, it's me. Hello. But what I do know is that you admitted to using your ID card to access the office where the attempted data breach took place, which means you have answers to the questions that all of us are asking. And that's all we're asking for, is for you to speak on the topic, to give answers to questions, or to just let us know what you know. You know something. So sitting up there silently is not helpful. I think that if you actually just answered the questions, this whole show, if you will, it would end. It would save a lot of people time. It would make these meetings move more smoothly. But I think there's no reason to not ask you these questions and expect an answer from you as you sit on the Board of Commissioners right now. And you did when the attempted data breach took place, right? So that is business for the commissioner. I would think that the other 2 commissioners sitting next to you would like to know the answers as well. I would think that Mr. Hackman here, who took a long time of weaving through an explanation last week, would also like to know answers. People watching YouTube, they want to know the answers. The people that live in Lake County, the people voting downstairs, want answers. And I think that it's super easy to just say, yes, I know the answers, or no, I don't. Yes, I was in the office and I know who else was in there. I know where the laptop came from. Or nope, sure don't. But you haven't. You have not answered, and I really, truly believe that no answer is absolutely an answer. I really just think that you should just give the people what they're asking for, which is information. If you're so innocent, prove it.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Bishop.
Juad Mabel, 1049 Brentwood, Pennsville. Commissioner Wigovich, Commissioner John Plechnik, Commissioner Hammercheck. Thank God for, with God, all things are possible. Since I start coming, by looking at that, and for my challenges after Lady Bishop went home to glory, that helped me. Yes, I'm a bishop. Yes, I'm a clergy. But coming to a place like this, to see God, that really helped me. And I live here now for 41 years. And I know and friend with all the commissioners from 1983 to now. What is it I did not come here the same way I go other places? I'd like to say thank you to you, Commissioner John Amechek. In your office, you were having a meeting, and you were speaking of you going to Bible study, home Bible study, main Bible study, and then you invite myself and the other clergy to come to the Bible study. That made me feel good. And then you were in a meeting, you said someone can come to the commissioners meeting. And I said, that's it. How in the world I never came? Well, I'm so glad to come. I'm so glad to be able to come every chance that I have here as I'm in town. I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. to pray. After that, I drank 6 ounces of water. I look on my phone and see this dynamic verse. Thanks. I tell the person, thanks. This is my strength for today. The verse said, the Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. There will always be trials and tribulations in life, but God will carry you through every storm in your life and give you strength to make it. If God has been good to you, praise Him. And I learned something from this. I don't have to stand here to quote the verse, and I can now go to any place and give a person a word from heaven. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion?
Good morning. I wanted to bring my bells this morning and ring them, but then God said no and hid them from me. So, but it's good to talk to God, and I think all of us should. It's our parents. We talked to our parents when we were little, growing up. More and more, we need to be in the resemblance of what is a family. And here we are in Lake County. This is our family. This is our county family. And we have an election in a week, and I pray that all people can have the heart to understand what they want to do and want to do together as a family. So as we have an understanding, peace begins with me. We can't expect peace to come from outside. It has to come from our own heart. And coming from our own heart, we can express it to others. And in that expression, we do things, we help, we support. So today, I just asking for a moment of silence and reflection of heart of how, as we grew up as very small children, we always looked to our parents. God has been looking to mankind for all of history, yet mankind has not really looked to God. So we need to look to God and receive His understanding and His compassion to us. So let us have a moment of silence and let us renew our heart and let peace begin with each one of us. Thank you and have a blessed meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Anyone else? Going once, in back.
Chris Wise from Leroy. I'm just going to speak contemporaneously today. You know, for the past months, you've been bringing all these people in here to harangue the hell out of Hammercheck. And it really, all this does is go to just how vindictive of a human being you are, Boss Plechnik. This is the very guy who got you appointed to your seat on the board. And for whatever reason, you hate his guts. It wasn't enough to deny him an endorsement as a Republican in his primary for his third term. It wasn't enough, you know, to do all the other things. But you keep bringing all these people here, and you know, they're pretty high-powered people. You got a PhD in engineering with a law degree. You got another lawyer from Ashtabula County who everyone clearly knows you're trying to groom to be the next county prosecutor when Mr. Colson either dies in office or decides not to run anymore. So I hope he lives to be 120. But it just goes to show how vindictive a human being you are. As far as loyalty goes, I don't see that. I saw no loyalty to Hammercheck on your part. I don't see any loyalty to the Zurins when you knew that the officials were going to use information they stole out of the courthouse to intimidate her to give up her candidacy for the school board last year. You knew about that ahead of time. You knew about that last year when you and I went to lunch on Halloween, and I listened to you talk for 4 hours. Oh my God, what a mind-numbing experience. No loyalty at all. You don't have any loyalty from the department heads of this county, because if you haven't thrown them out of the meeting entirely, you ignore them. Other ones are recording your phone conversations because they're scared to death you're going to embroil them in some kind of a criminal plot or activity or get fired. What kind of legacy is that? You got no children. You got nobody to train, thank God, to be like you are. So, what's your legacy going to be? How's your brand feel today? As a father, I wouldn't even claim you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Anyone else for public portion? In back.
Brian Kolkowski, Leroy Township. In response to an investigation into a possible hacking event related to Lake County computer servers, the Lake County IT director concluded in a note to the Lake County prosecutor that sensitive information was released. And this security intrusion was a very concerning event for Lake County. On September 8th, 2021, the Lake County prosecutor filed a motion in the Lake County Common Pleas Court to have the Ohio Attorney General investigate any possible crimes committed under Ohio law as a result of this hacking. What I have learned through public records requests for the investigatory files of the State Attorney General is apparently no real investigation was performed as ordered by the court. I come to this conclusion on the following basis. There are simply no records of an investigation. There are documents from the Secretary of State's office and from the Lake County IT director, but there is no evidence of an independent investigation by the Ohio Attorney General's office, even though Judge Condon granted the Lake County prosecutor's motion for an investigation by the Ohio Attorney General. In addition, one day before declining prosecution, the Senior Attorney General wrote to the investigator apparently assigned to this case, "When you get back in the office, could you do me a favor and touch base with the FBI on this matter? I'm shutting down some old files, and I'm curious to know if anything ever came of this." The investigator wrote back, the FBI concluded its investigation with no charges. On this basis, one day later, the Attorney General's office issued a declination of prosecution letter that has been discussed at previous meetings. Unfortunately, this creates more questions than answers. Clearly, the FBI has no authority to prosecute crimes under the Ohio Revised Code or on the basis of local codes. So why didn't the State Attorney General perform the investigation as ordered by our local Judge Condon and requested by the Lake County prosecutor? I'm currently drafting a FOIA request to the FBI for their records to see if perhaps they had more curiosity than our own Secretary of State, Ohio's Attorney General. I'm renewing my request to Commissioners Plechnik and Regovich to have the Lake County IT Director attend a meeting to address the public's question as to what he understands about this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Anyone else? Hearing none, we go on to resolutions. Madam Clerk.
In the Utilities Department, resolution increasing appropriations and Lake County Department of Utilities Solid Waste Fund transfers out and transferring cash to the Solid Waste Closure Post-Closure Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Fund and Project Fund 554, Red Creek Sewer Project 280S.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a Fifth Amendment to the Water Supply Agreement with Aqua Ohio Incorporated, Aqua related to a permanent supply of water to Aqua for the Berkshire Hills Drive area, Kirtland, Ohio, and Ashtabula County, Ohio, and from Aqua for the Pinecrest Road area, Concord Township, Ohio, and for a temporary surplus and emergency backup supply of water to each other in Lake and Ashtabula counties.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to compliment Jennifer. You practiced reading these. You did really good on that one. That was a tongue twister.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. President, I had to get that in there.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
And Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant November 8th, 2024, in the amount of $59,614.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution establishing the Lake County employee's share of the monthly premium for medical and dental insurance coverage effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution establishing the monthly premiums for medical and dental insurance coverage for sub-government entities participating in the county employee health plans effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a renewal addendum for the contract with Medical Mutual of Ohio for third-party administrative services.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $1,446,193.06.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hammercheck. Or
Yes.
Plechnik, I mean.
He only gets one vote.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Ha ha ha.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $616,869.74.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes. With the conclusion of resolutions, it's time for departmental reports, starting with utilities. Thank you. Job and Family Services.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have some exciting and important news to share out of Job and Family Services. We learned yesterday that our group home has been accredited for an additional 3 years. This is a really important accomplishment to ensure that our group home can remain open and running and serving the children of Lake County. This is about a year-long process So really want to acknowledge the hard work of all of our staff who are committed to caring for the children 24/7, 365 days a year at Kaylee. Our program manager, Mindy Hughes, was really instrumental in working with CARF International to achieve this accreditation, as well as our current assistant program administrator, Steve Kobus, and our recently retired program administrator, Dave Tressler. So this is an exciting time for the county as well as our staff and the children who are residing there. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Commissioner.
first of all, congratulations on getting that accreditation, and also congratulations on last week's chili cook-off. It's one of my favorite events of the year. So you and your staff should be proud. There's a lot of people there, even though I didn't win a basket, but good job there too. Thanks.
We'll skip to Madam Clerk.
The next commissioner meeting is Thursday, November 7th at 10 a.m. And also I wanted to mention that daylight savings time ends this Sunday, November 3rd. Sorry to say.
And legal. That brings us to our County Administrator, Jason Boyd, and he and I are going to be presenting the first ever State of the County report. This summer, the commissioners unanimously voted to start a new tradition where every September or October each year, we're going to be giving a State of the County so that we can have more transparency and make sure that residents have a full view of the challenges that their county faces, but also the great accomplishments that we've enjoyed together. So this is the first ever. Jason and I are going to be doing our best to highlight all the important work of the county. And I want to begin with a thank you to my colleagues on the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Regovich, as well as Commissioner Hamercheck. If either of you would like to say a few words as we go forward, now is your opportunity.
I would just like to thank Jason and all the staff for putting their time into this. I know Jason takes his stuff very serious and has been practicing, and as well as summer. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get started.
But this is not a three-man or woman show. This is a partnership of a lot of different elected and appointed officials. And I want to acknowledge the county leadership, including Auditor Chris Galloway, Clerk of Courts Faith Andrews, Coroner Dr. David J. Keep, Engineer Jim Gills, our Prosecutor Chuck Colson, our Recorder Becky Lynch, our Sheriff Frank Liam Bruno, who attends almost all of our commissioners' meetings, our Treasurer Mike Zurin, as well as our judges, Judge Condon, Judge Collada, Judge O'Donnell, Judge Rupel, Judge Folkowski, Judge DeLeon, and Judge Bartolotta. Many people ask who is responsible for county government. It starts with the commissioners and elected officials, but it doesn't stop there. As you can see, our little Lake County 101 slide, Lake County is comprised of many departments that are principally headed by elected officials, but continue into many administrators as well as many very significant boards. If it weren't for the Veterans Service Commission, if it weren't for the Adams Board or the Planning Commission, our work could not be done. And so many volunteer board members make so many decisions that really set the course of Lake County. And while there's not time to acknowledge all of them here, or we'd be here until next year's State of the County, I do want to throw this up in the presentation to give a sense of our organization and our leadership chart. But from there, I want to turn things over to our County Administrator, Jason Boyd, who more than anyone is responsible for moving Lake County forward.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for the opening, Commissioner Plechnik. I first want to begin by thanking Summer. Summer and I have been getting together every Thursday for the past few weeks, putting this slide deck together. Thanks to the department heads for providing some context, and thanks to my coworkers on floors 4 and 5. A lot of folks don't know there's 1,200 employees in this county, but directly day to day with the commissioners, about 9 of us that are in the trenches with you guys, 10 of us every day. So I want to thank the folks on 4 and 5 for their support putting this together. This presentation will be available on the Commissioner's website in a PDF format after the presentation. I've been with the county 24 years and change. This would mark the first kind of state of the county. And this first inaugural presentation will be a very high-level overview, and I've kind of phrased it Lake County 101 of both operations and specifically the agencies directly under your control. I appreciate you mentioned all the other elected officials and departments, et cetera, but today I'll focus on the 11 department heads that directly report to the commissioner and a brief profile of what they do. So I'm going to get into it with a little, and some folks may have seen these slides, but I like to break it down to basics as far as Lake County 101 and just kind of our geographic position in the region. We have 23 communities here in Lake County, 9 cities, 9 villages, and 5 townships, approximately 30 miles east of downtown Cleveland from here at the county seat in Paynesville. Lake County was established in 1860. Originally bordering Cuyahoga, Geauga counties, and we've grown to a population in the 2020 census to 232,000 folks, which I would argue is probably a titch low. We all have to remember that the Census 2020 count, when Commissioner Hammercheck was involved, was during the heart of COVID. So I think we probably had some difficulties not only in Lake County but elsewhere on getting a true count. We have approximately 30 miles of lakefront, depending on how the crow flies, and we'll talk about that a bit. 2 major east to west transportation corridors with SR2, Interstate 90, major rail corridors. A tremendous amount of commerce goes through Lake County on a daily basis that folks probably aren't aware of. 2 major river corridors, notably the Grand Hare in Paynesville and the world-class fisheries that's quickly becoming in support of our ecotourism region. World-class recreation, our Lake Metro parks, the Kirtland Temple, Holden Arboretum, just to name a few, are amenities that all of Lake County should be proud of. It goes without saying, we have a very significant economic base. Manufacturing, retail, the city of Mentor continues to be a driver in both those sectors, the city of Willoughby and so on. As you migrate out east, our nursery industry is still very, very strong, as well as our emerging and continuing to grow ecotourism and viticulture / winery industry in the eastern portions of the county that continue to bring in significant folks from beyond Lake County. We're into the Pittsburgh market, the Columbus markets, and so on. We see that every day in our bed tax receipts. We continue to have very strong bed tax receipts, notably on the eastern end of the county. And I'd be remiss in this 101 slide if I didn't talk about our educational institutions, both public and private, schools, Lakeland Community College, Lake Erie College, Auburn Career Center, and so on. So where are we at demographically in relationship to one another? We are the 11th biggest county population-wise in Ohio, yet we're the smallest geographically. From 2010 to 2020, 33 counties had exhibited population growth out of the 88, and we were 16th. We added about 2,600 folks from 2010 to 2020, which may not sound like a lot, but it is in a region, the Northeast Ohio region, which has seen mostly a shift from community to community, county to county, but we had a net surplus, which is a positive takeaway when you're looking at the demographics for Lake County. We have a wide range of population to village of Lakeline with 216 residents to the city of Mentor that typically ranges around 50,000 residents. So that's a significant range of populations here in Lake County. These next few charts I'm gonna go through relatively quickly. These show population changes of the villages from 1970 to 2020. Those with a red star, that would be Kirtland Hills, Waite Hill, North Perry Village, and Madison. Yielded an increase in population from 2010 to 2020. I would also argue that Fairport Harbor and Perry Village, just due to housing starts, probably also exhibited growth in that 10-year time frame, but it's just not reflected in the census data. Moving along to our townships, same thing. Concord, Paynesville, and the data set that's published exhibited growth, but there's no doubt in my mind that probably all 5 of our townships, based on building permit data, and I'll note on that, exhibited growth from 2010 to 2020. And finally, our cities. We have 9 cities. You'll see that 6 out of our 9 cities exhibited population growth from 2010 to 2020. Some good news. I think Wickliffe is undercounted in here as well as the city of Eastlake. We talk about the growth in the east end of the county. I think there's some positive takeaways that the Willoughbys and Willowicks on the west end continue to show growth, and kudos to those leaders. You're starting to see some infill residential development in the city of Eastlake, the city of Willoughby, because there's just not a lot of greenfield areas, taking advantage of the Lake County Land Bank and those resources and redeveloping in some of our post-World War II communities. Next few slides, I go back to my planning days. This is a 1965 comprehensive plan map. And in brief, The yellow shows residential of some nature. This was what they anticipated Lake County looking like in 1965, heading into the year 2000. The dark blues that you see are heavy, heavy industry and manufacturing. I don't know if I have a cursor here, and if folks on YouTube can see this. Obviously, this was the Diamond Shamrock property that they closed down in, I believe it was 1976. And you can see they had forecasted at one point in time heavy industry along what's now actually our Lake County landfill. I think we held true on this hatched blue area through the heart of the county. The Tyler Boulevard corridor is screaming right there with the hatched blue, our manufacturing base, and then heading into the city of Willoughby, Wickliffe, and Willowick. So this is what the 1965 vision looked like for the county. This was a map I made. I didn't date this, shame on me. I think I made this map in about 2005. And this was a land use representation of actual use. So the yellows, I don't know, almost darn near whites, are single family residential. The blues still hold true. Today you can see these blue along Route 2. That's our manufacturing base. If you look hard enough, the red is commercial and retail. So you can clearly pick out transportation corridors. Traversing the county, the State Route 20, all the way through. Without a road on there, you can just see by land use, all that red is our retail commercial corridors here throughout Lake County. And once again, in the mid-2000s, a clear use of open space, ag, and forestry in the eastern portions of Lake County. I'm going to thank, I don't know if Caroline from GIS made this map for me a couple weeks ago. This is a current day snapshot of our land use using Auditor Galloway's land classification codes. We have approximately 45% of our property to date that is classified by the auditor's office as residential, about 10% commercial, 5% industrial, and you'll see still quite a bit of agricultural or open space that's represented in the green here. So I think you reflect from the 60s up until to date that forecast has held true. The one difference, and I'll get to it here shortly, is in 1965 they called for about 350,000 folks in Lake County as they were coming off the post-World War II growth trajectories, which was enormous. And so as I noted in a previous slide, today we're at about 232,000 residents. I hope Commissioner Regovich gets this slide. This is a representative sample, and I'm going to go back and forth of how quickly Lake County grew. This is a 1950, go back here a slide. This is 1950 when the county had a population of approximately 77,000 folks. The war has ended. Our soldiers are coming home. And then by 1970, this is the growth rate that we exhibited in Western Lake County. This is Willowick, which literally grew up overnight. It's probably hard to see on this screen. So from 1950 to 1970, Lake County we got to 150,000 residents. And that's simply because of the post-World War II boom and that migration from the downtown core of Cleveland, Euclid, Collinwood, making their way to the W's, East Lake, and so on. This next map's a bit difficult to read. This is a year-built house map. The areas in green, if you look hard enough, are homes in the early 1900s. And you can see, I can see Madison Village pop out, Paynesville City pops out, Fairport Harbor Village pops out, the old Madison Village, Mentor Village on Mentor Avenue pops out, and the city of Willoughby pops out in the early 1900s. As you start to see the dark blues and reds in here, this is literally in the 1980s, late 70s when the city of Mentor, Western Concord Township started to develop, and then the rest of the light reds and red are homes that were built after the year 2000. So you have an influx of green and light blues in Western Lake County, and you start to see the dark blues and reds, which indicate residential growth from 1980s to date. So that is a brief kind of land use perspective and how we got where we are from the 1950s to date. And I want to segue back to the chart that Commissioner Plechnik noted and the complexity of county governance represented by this chart that, quite frankly, I don't know who put this together years ago. Joel was tweaked it over time. Unlike a city where the mayor and council kind of say, here's our objectives, here's our zoning ordinance, here's our resolutions, et cetera, here's what we're going to do. The county is much different. The commissioners clearly have budgetary authority, but we also have a set of elected officials that, based on their provision, the revised code, do what they do on a daily basis with no oversight from the commissioners besides the budgetary authority. So it's a very complicated form of governance, but I think we do a hell of a job here in Lake County administering county government. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes on the areas in red, which are the department heads that report directly to the county commissioners. I've had the privilege the past 2 decades, about 15 years in this capacity, to work with these 11 good-looking individuals, and they hated it when Summer reached out to them for a photo. But I think they deserve recognition. Maybe more importantly, their employees deserve recognition for what they do every day here in Lake County. And I'll spend a couple moments on each one of these individuals and their teams. It's interesting to note, I shot an email to all these folks. There's a 270 years of experience with the guys and gals on this screen. I would argue that's probably pretty high in the state of Ohio, and that's you can see that effect every day in the work that the work that they perform. So, special thanks to all these department heads: Jennifer Bell, Joel DeMar, Randy, Suzanne, Mike Marcus here, David Radacci, Rodney, Paul Stefanko, Joe Busher, David Strichko, and Tim Miller from our stormwater department. So I'm going to start briefly and go through just some of the highlights in what Lake County Utilities does on a daily basis, which is quite impressive. Overseen by Randy, Utilities has approximately 200 employees. Randy and Suzanne's shops are by far our biggest departments, less the sheriff's office. Randy has 3 divisions: wastewater, water, and solid waste. In our wastewater division, which is the sewer division, we have 94 employees, about an $18.5 million operating budget. Randy does about $5 million of projects a year. We have the ability to treat 26 million gallons of wastewater per day. Not only on the sewer side, but on the water side, the public drinking water side. Randy has educated me over the years that the commissioners in the early 80s made an investment to provide safe, clean water and sanitation for future growth in the county. And when you talk to Randy and his team, we have capacity, significant capacity, in both wastewater and water to handle that growth for the long term. The chart in front of you is just a number of sanitary sewer permits issued each year. The takeaway from 2011 to last year is a positive trend line, which means people are pulling sanitary sewer permits, which means there's development going on here in Lake County. Moving to the sewer side, Randy has 93 employees in that division, $18 million operating budget, capital improvement budget, once again around $5 million. I'm sure Randy would like to do more, but there's only so much resources that we have based on the amount of need we have in the community. We can treat 29 million gallons of drinking water a day. Right now, as you see on this chart, in 2023, we averaged just below 10 million gallons of water per day. Once again, signifying the ability to accommodate future growth here in our county. Randy maintains 550 miles of water lines and seven storage tanks throughout the distribution system. Extremely impressive process when you go and take a tour with Randy and his team on how we take water from the lake to somebody's faucet. Extremely impressive. So much so, my stat of the day is that a gallon of water, all in cost, to buy from Lake County Department of Utilities water is 67 cents. So if you think about that when you go to the store and buy a bottle of water for $1.99, I mean, that is a very, very impressive stat, that from cleaning to employees to facilities, et cetera, 67 cents. I've never seen Randy drink a water that is in a plastic bottle. It's always from a fountain, right? And finally, under county utilities, foresight of the county commissioners in the 1960s, early 70s to purchase property in Perry Township and Painesville Township, the Lake County Solid Waste Facility, otherwise known as the landfill. We have about 10 employees at the landfill, operating budget of about $8 million, capital improvement of about $2 million, and we dispose 1,000 tons of garbage every day. Think about that, 1,000 tons of garbage every day that's coming here. And some folks may not think that that's a great amenity, but it really, really is. When Randy shared the information during COVID, I called him and I said, what is going out? Because our charts were like this on monthly usage. During COVID, and I know I was doing it, we were cleaning out our attics, we were cleaning our basements, we were tearing off decks, and he saw that, the County Department of Utilities saw that in their user rates out at the landfill. Just a lot of action going on during COVID. So 200 employees. Randy will say it in the winter, I'm sure it's coming, but the guys and gals who are out there on a February night at 3 in the morning, breaking a pipe, repairing a sewer line, they're the real folks that I think I would like to recognize in Lake County Department of Utilities and the work that they do every day to supply clean water and sanitation throughout Lake County. So thank you very much to Randy and his entire team of about 200 employees. Oh, and here's just a quick distribution map. The green lines are the sewer mains that Lake County Department of Utility maintains, notably Menor points east, and the blue is water. You can see there. The pink area in central Lake County is the landfill, which Randy, I believe, is 300 acres, 400 acres. Yeah. So a significant holding there. And this is just a quick map that shows our Madison wastewater treatment plant. our Bacon Water Plant, Bacon Road GLK facility in Mentor, and our Aquarius Water Treatment Plant in the city of Willoughby. Moving along to our Planning and Community Development Department, led by David Radacci, and then Rhea Benton assists on the CD side. Planning Commission was created in 1957, a creature of statute. During the same time that I came over to be the county administrator, we consolidated the Planning Commission and the Federal Grants Office to form what is known today as the Planning and Community Development Department. Amongst the two divisions, they have about 6 full-time employees. On the planning side, David is responsible for all the subdivision and zoning activity in the unincorporated areas of Lake County, which are our 5 townships. Dave spends a lot of time working on census information, GIS mapping, and is also responsible for issuing addresses for 4 townships and various villages in the county. Dave and his team will be the lead agency in the Lake County Comprehensive Plan. We'll push an RFP out here in the coming weeks. So we're really looking forward to that. On the other side of the planning and community development is the action items under the responsibility of Rhea Benton. This is traditionally what we know as Community Development Block Grant, the Home Program, and most recently some of the ARPA funds that have come through Lake County, Emergency Rental Assistance, and so on. Just a brief graphic of some of the items that Dave sees on a daily basis. This is just an image of a subdivision plat and the review that David does as far as compliance with the subdivision regulations, working with Randy, working with Engineer Gill's office, the townships, and so on. This is what the plan looks like in paper. This is what happens when it's recorded. This is just an image of a plat on a subdivision here in Lake County. These next couple slides show the beneficiaries and impact of the CDBG, home programs, etc. Approximately $1.6 million was invested via the commissioners into the community last year on housing, public facilities, and public services. So our Project Hope, our Forbes House, our great nonprofits, they're the beneficiaries of a significant amount of these dollars. You can see here on this slide the area in pink, 23,000 beneficiaries, number of people who received a public service in 2022 CDBG activities, 28,000 individuals who are a benefactor of public facilities and improvements throughout Lake County. So David and Rhea and their team do a great job of getting that $1.5 million, $1.6 million each year out to the community from Madison to Willoway. A couple quick success stories of what minor investments can yield in the community. This was a $22,000 investment at Willow Praise Church in the city of Willowick, right there on Vine Street, notably during the COVID and their need for a freezer. That project came to the commissioner's office. Commissioners and Rhea worked to get that done, and that's been a tremendous success in Western Lake County. And I don't know if there's a better CDBG project than the Miracle Field in the city of Eastlake a few years ago under Mayor Morley and his vision. Total cost of $1.3 million, and the commissioners via the CDBG funds allocated about $200,000 to this project. So thanks to David. David and I kind of came up through the ranks together, so he and his team do a great job staying ahead of the development trends throughout Lake County. Moving along to our Stormwater Management Department. Stormwater Management is overseen by Tim Miller. Tim has 4 employees, 1 part-time employee. Stormwater Management came from some federal regulations in the early 2000s. The department was formalized in 2003. To date, the Stormwater Management Department has completed about $37 million of projects throughout 17 member communities. When I say member communities, this is an elective process, so other communities can maintain and administer their own stormwater management program, but Tim and his team do the vast majority of Lake County. He often partners with other agencies such as our General Health District and our Lake County Soil and Water District, who are located right here in Building B of the Administration Center. He has a budget of approximately $5.2 million on an annual basis. And stormwater fees are generated, it's $3.50 per month per resident on member communities. And the map here in front of you shows how they calculate their fees on commercial land uses, and that's on impervious surface. So they do calculations using the GIS department to come up with the fee for commercial and manufacturing uses. One of the project highlights that I'd like to share with stormwater, this is Brightwood Lake Restoration in Concord Township. Stormwater and the township partnered probably 4 or 5 years ago to receive some grant dollars to really take this old subdivision pond from the 1960s with a man-made dam that was exhibiting some some structural concerns and life safety issues below the dam, and literally converted it back to a meandering channel. This is Kellogg Creek. So the photo on the left obviously shows the pond. There was a bunch of silt that was occurring, lack of maintenance, and the Concord Township and the Stormwater Management Agency managed this project, and it was just completed, I believe, late last year. So this is a great example of a cooperative partnership with Stormwater, one of their member communities in state EPA. Buildings and grounds, these next few slides, Mark is here. Mark Eiffelise and his team, Lou, etc. These guys and gals do not get nearly the recognition that they should. These are the MVPs behind the scenes that often get the calls when stuff's just not going our way. And I am one of those guys. Mark has 45 staff members. I think it's important to note that not too long ago, 10 years, they had about 90 employees. And for various reasons, that staff load was reduced, and they have not missed a beat. And that's credit to the leadership and the hard work of our laborers, our tradesmen, our custodians, etc. B&G is responsible for 23 buildings at 718,000 square feet. To put that in perspective, that is the size, it's larger than 3 super Walmarts. So when we call and we have an issue from it's too hot or it's too cold or a leaky roof, I would just kindly remind all of our department heads and elected officials that these 45 people are responsible for the equivalent of 3 super Walmarts on maintaining. That's a very impressive figure, and I want to thank Mark and his folks for what they do every day. He has a budget of about $3.2 million. He also runs our central purchasing, where we can buy products in bulk and get a little bit better price. And we still have a county mailroom that a lot of folks don't know about, that Mark and his team run that on a day-to-day basis. A couple of the projects, the B&G is completed. Folks, just behind the courthouse, the photo on the right, and we are completely replacing our HVAC, heating and cooling in our courts. This is the main courthouse, probate court, and juvenile court. That's about a $7 million project that we're using $5 million worth of ARPA. Just countless renovation projects. We have one going on right now here on the 5th floor that Mark's guys are self-performing. Lou kind of project managed the 41 East Erie Street renovation, which is where Prosecutor Colson has some employees now, which is a huge savings for us, as opposed to hiring outside engineering consultants. Mark has spent a lot of time at the fairground roof replacement this past year and helped manage that with the Fair Board. Our Park Road facility with the Board of Elections. Just I could go on and on about the number of projects that Mark and his team are responsible for on a daily basis. So thanks to Mark and our B&G employees for all that they do. Telecommunication, similar to B&G, responsible for many things that you don't know about until they're not working, and that's very rare. But Paul's 9 employees, well, actually it's about 12 or 13 employees, are responsible for over 2,000 phones, 850 cameras, all of our access control, and this is all new within the past probably 5 years. In addition to county offices, our telecom department offers services to 2 cities, 2 townships, and a village. And they, along with the county sheriff's office, are responsible for maintenance at the 911 center. So when there's something going wrong there, which is priorities 1, 2, and 3, Paul's guys are responding to make sure that our 911 services are up and running, as Paul likes to call 99 and 5 nines effective. So 99.9999% of the time we have to keep those things up and running. We also maintain, program 3,500 handheld radios for first responders, police, fire, EMS, utilities, and so on. We have 12 consoles at the dispatch center. We have 5 radio towers and 30 microwave hops, meaning information from A to B over the air. We are also Zone 2 for MARCS, the statewide communication system, which is a huge benefit. Shout out to Paul for creating that relationship years ago and the benefits that creates for us. And Paul's guys are also, they've been very busy, as we've talked about the past 10 or 12 years, on just maintaining the jail. Card readers, keys, cameras, electrical distribution, and so on. Hopefully that workload slows down in 2027. And finally, we have 18 generators in at county facilities that they are responsible for maintaining and testing every Friday payday. Paul's guys go around and fire up all the generators and make sure they are working to the standard at which we expect. Our Lake County dog shelter, while I always recall it being new, it's been around for some time now. Rodney's shop is located on North Ridge Road, right at the Perry Township, Painesville Township line. about 11,000 square feet of space. For those of you who recall, it used to be over at the fairgrounds in a much smaller and inefficient space. Rodney has space for about 54 kennels, 3 outdoor dog parks, grooming and vetting, 7 staff members, and obviously, reuniting dogs with their loved ones and or finding homes for dogs in Rodney's care is his #1 priority, and he does a good job at that. I would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone, we've partnered, Rodney and the county auditor have partnered with DocuPet. It's a new kind of a digital forum to register your dog. Friendly public announcement from December 1 to January 31st. All dog owners are required to license their pet in Lake County. You can do that either with 1 year, 3 year, or a lifetime tag. So I told Rodney I would give that public service announcement, so I encourage everyone to do that. And online, if they pull this up, they can just scan this QR code and it'll take them right to the license registration system. Building department, Dave Strichko, located over here in Building B. Every time I talk to Dave, I'm like, when is it going to slow down? And it just appears it hasn't, and we don't know when it will. His permit activity has increased, continues to increase from 2018 through a full calendar year of 2013. Dave's got 12 employees, and quite frankly, could probably use more, but do a great job based on the budget that he has. Dave's the one CBO that we have, and we have another gentleman that just got his CBO, right, Joel? So we have 2 certified chief building officials, 4 full-time inspectors, a part-time, 5 clerical, and a 1 part-time who I don't know the call volume that they get, but it is a ton. So thanks to the clerical staff who are taking just the dozens and dozens of calls there on a daily basis, trying to be responsive to our individual homeowners who are doing a deck, or our large home builders or commercial builders. Dave does a great job trying to turn around permits in a very timely manner. He's always below the state mandated. I think we have 30 days. I think Dave averages around 2 weeks or so to turn around building permits, which I know is viewed very favorably amongst the development community. His team does about 45 to 50 inspections a day, 5 to 6 site plans, permits, commercial plan reviews. Oh, there it is, about 100 calls a day in the department, and those calls start right at 8 a.m. They range from, his inspections range from commercial, which you'll see here, obviously all the residential. This is a large manufacturing facility out in Madison Village. And this is just a telling slide. From 2018, we issued 3,085 permits. Last year, 2023, we issued almost 5,000 permits here throughout Lake County. Dave does not inspect for the entire county. The townships, the city of Willowick, the city of Painesville, the city of Willoughby Hills, we all enforce the state building code of Ohio. Some communities prefer to have their own building department, and that's fine. The city of Benner, city of Willoughby, and so on. But Dave's shop does a great job, and I'm looking forward to having our building officials and inspectors being the primary eyes and ears on the ground on the jail project. If there is an issue, Dave and his team will jump right there and help Gilbane and the team work through whatever issue that may come forward. Senior services, and I'm almost done here, everybody. This continues to be a very difficult discipline, personally for me, because of the need in our community. Our senior levy is managed by Aaliyah, who's done a great job of managing the funds and trying to make sure that these funds are directed in a very cost-effective way that meet the most vulnerable seniors here in Lake County. We also have a senior task force that provides guidance and recommendations to both Aaliyah and the commissioners, so we thank them for their service. In addition to our long-standing partnerships with our senior centers and Council on Aging, Aaliyah, Kristen Kane, the panel, and the commissioners have also expanded our funding opportunities for things that traditionally have not been funded, including home repair, an adult protective services division through Suzanne's shop, which I remember when Mr. Badiato was still here, was woefully underfunded. So the commissioners made the decision to allocate funds to Suzanne and the Adult Protective Services Unit. We have a senior guardian program with Judge Bartolotta and Lifeline, so I want to thank them for that. And we've also brought in-house the volunteer program under Kristen Kane, the Lake County Volunteer Network, who has about 418 volunteers currently in her portfolio, if you will. And you can see the other items and highlights. The levy was first approved in 1992 and has been renewed successfully every 5 years since then. It generates $4.8 to $5 million on an annual basis, and as the commissioners know, the panel knows, we often get way more requests than funds available. And Aaliyah and Kristen have done a nice job of going above and beyond the levy, and they've received 2 grants the past year, a AmeriCorps grant and a Healthy and Aging grant to provide more dollars to the seniors here in Lake County. As we heard 5 years ago, by 2030, 1 in 3 residents here in Lake County will be a senior. When Leah and Kristen will continue to do a great job trying to get those dollars where they need to be in an efficient manner, because we know that need is not going to go away.
Mr. Boyd?
Yeah.
If I could just add, somewhat historically this year, the commissioners voted to expand the senior advisory panel from 5 to 7 members to provide even more support in the process of allocating the limited resources of the senior levy. And we certainly extend our thanks to all 7 members of the senior advisory panel, because we could not do this work without their input.
Yes.
We need our seniors to really be deciding where our senior dollars are spent.
Sure. Thank you for adding that. Moving along, our Lake County Emergency Management Agency. Joe was just here a couple weeks ago talking about the evaluated exercise. That, if I recall, we were one of the highest graded in Region 5, which shout out to everyone involved with that. Director Busher has 6 employees in his division. What Joe does is like your insurance policy. He's there when you need him there. And when I say he, I mean his entire team, which includes the dispatch center, the sheriff's office, etc. Daily he focuses on local preparedness. And I can't tell you how often, unfortunately, we've had to use that in my tenure, from train derailments to floods. I think there were 13 house fires in the village of Fairport Harbor a number of years ago, to COVID. So all of the training that we do, and I know a lot of us get emails from Joe like, oh man, here's another training. Well, they've proved extremely beneficial. And I don't think there's a better example of that than COVID. It was early February, and Joe, and credit to Ron Graham at the Health District, and I said, we should probably convene everyone just to see if this coronavirus thing does anything. So that was about 6 weeks prior to COVID really kicking into gear. And at that point in time, we started talking about what's our assets, where are our cell phones, where are our laptops, and who needs them in the event. And credit to those guys for having that meeting, because without a doubt, we responded quicker and more efficiently than most any other public agency in the state of Ohio. And I think a lot of that goes to Joe's preparedness, the Health District, Lake Health, and so on. I can't tell you how many hours Joe and I and Ron Graham, Dino DeSanto, et cetera, spent every morning and every evening talking on the phone about what are our next steps, how are we going to get through this, what information can we get to our elected officials, and so on. So that execution is only possible by preparation, and that's where I think EMA does a phenomenal job. In addition to that, here are some images that take me back. To the top right is the COVID vaccination clinics that were coordinated throughout the county. A lot of that under the leadership of Joe, Ron Graham, the local fire chiefs, and the police departments. Those things were run like a well-oiled machine. We did PPE distribution. $1.5 million of PPE flowed through Joe's shop. So when you take a step back and rewind on how we responded to that, I think it's refreshing to know that we were ready to go in that particular event. In addition to that, we developed a safety plan for the solar eclipse, which I think a lot of us probably wasn't as robust as we thought, but we were ready in the event that it would. Joe just received a $1 million grant about a year ago for renovations at the EOC, and he has a total budget of about $450,000, 2/3 of which is from outside funds. So I want to thank Joe for all of his work at the EOC. Job and Family Services. Suzanne and her team, to date, 174 employees. And I'm going to read all these slides. I'll argue all day long that, maybe with the exception of our first responders, Suzanne and her team have the most difficult job in the county. When I see Suzanne call, I'm excited to talk to her, but not really, because I know we have a difficult situation that, and this goes for all of our department heads, like there's a gut check that all right, I got to make the call. And I do the same thing with you guys. But Suzanne and her management team and all her folks, the things that they need to do, that they deal with on a daily basis are emotional, stressful, and necessary. And there's not enough thanks in the world that goes around, and I'm guilty of this, for showing that appreciation to your social workers. You noted the Kaylee home earlier. So I just want to begin these couple slides with a personal thanks to Suzanne and her team, because if people on 4 or 5 or in this building are having a bad day, go take a walk over to Suzanne's shop, and it's a quick reality check. She's responsible for, in her department, public assistance, protective services, not only children, but adults, employment and training, and child support enforcement, all in a day's work, right? Under her child and adult protective services, she receives reports of elder abuse, neglect, exploitation on a 24/7 basis. We've often heard Suzanne give out that number during these public forums, and it is used, unfortunately. In 2023, she managed 200 children's services and 60 adult protective services cases. She had 5,000 calls, which led to 2,000 investigations and 115 kiddos, as she would say, in our custody. We have a phenomenal Kaylee home that she referenced, a 16-bed facility. And the Children and Adult Protective Services have been funded by a levy since 1968. Additionally, she has the Public Assistance Division. They determine eligibility. We've heard a lot about that from Suzanne the past few months. SNAP, Medicaid, Child Care, and PRC. She supports workforce participation. She has 844 cases of publicly funded child care. I'll leave the revised code sections there for folks to read. Child support enforcement, listen to this, 9,972 child support cases in Lake County. $31 million collected in Lake County for those kiddos. Just unbelievable figures. She assists with establishing paternity and support and ensuring consistent support for her clients, regardless of age in her agency. Some of her challenges that we talk about are staff recruitment and retention. We've had conversations over the years how hard this job is to perform, and I can only imagine. She has all kinds of oversight on her agency, increasing caseloads due to ever-changing income standards. We've heard about this from other folks, the lack of affordable housing. We have a great foster parent association, but we could always use more. And then the behavioral health issues that we see throughout our county, but it also is exhibited with our children and the need for facilities with those children who exhibit those challenges. So just in those 3 or 4 slides, I could go on and on about the work that the JFS team does, those 174 employees, and just thank you, Suzanne, for all the work that goes into that agency across the street. And final couple agencies, our Workforce Development Board, that's become a priority here in the county. I know Commissioner Regovich has been talking about workforce. We had AWT here last week. Prior to that, we had Mr. Glavin here talking about workforce, and we take that just as serious. There's a role that the county has. Suzanne Shop is the fiscal agent. The Workforce Center is located in her building, So we will continue to emphasize workforce throughout Lake County. These are some of our partners: Northern Career Institute, Auburn, Lakeland, Great Lakes Driving, and Lake Erie College. And finally, the Lake County Development Authority. The LDA, under the leadership of their board, which is appointed by the commissioners, and the city of Mentor have a few seats, they are essentially our economic development department for Lake County. Patrick has been on board, I don't even know if it's been a year yet, probably not. Does a great job with his employees. And just some quick facts here, supplied by the LDA, the Lake Development Authority. St. Louis Federal Reserve just reported a 3.5% unemployment rate, which is really good. We have about 600 manufacturers here in Lake County with 21,000 people in the workforce. Highlight of some of our larger employers, University Hospitals, Lubrizol, Steris, and some of their work to date have created 2,100 new jobs and 6,600 jobs retained. I think that's important to note, that a lot of folks you hear about are trying to gain jobs. It's just as important to retain jobs here in Lake County. 2 of their large catalytic initiatives are obviously the Lake County Executive Airport, which continues to see growth and improvements out there, and then implementing and managing coastal development. I think we all agree that's right up there at the top of our list here in Lake County. Just a couple more points here, and I've noted most of these already. County Commissioner's Office. We could talk about this for hours and hours, but I just threw a few highlights here of the things that you gentlemen have to do on a daily basis, which we really do appreciate. Financial control, adoption of the budget. I think it goes without saying that adoption of the budget is just the beginning of the budget process. Joel, Zach, and the entire team on the fourth floor are managing that on a daily basis. We hold title to all county property. We noted Mark's team, the responsibilities for maintaining and providing. That goes from courthouses, our Board of Elections, general governance, and so on. And as Commissioner Plesnik showed that matrix, I don't recall how many boards and commissions you have the responsibility for appointing. I think it's well over a dozen, probably, Jen, at least 50. So they appoint 50 boards and commissions. That's pretty impressive. I think the most important takeaway on this slide is the commissioners' effort and their guidance to me and others is to work cooperatively with all of our other county elected officials. It just makes life so much darn easier when we can pick up the phone and as we can and call the county auditor or county treasurer and get through whatever the business of the day is. Obviously, the budgeting process I noted. I'm just going to give some highlights here. In 2024, revenues continue to look strong. Obviously, we're in quarter 4. Our primary revenue stream, and I've got some charts, is a 1% sales tax. Other resources include our investment earnings, fees, and property tax. Our general fund budget in 2024 is $70.2 million. We continue to have a stable sales tax revenue coming in. I have a chart on that. Interest rates continue to be above average, and we're thankful for that, and we continue to allocate those dollars to the Sheriff's Office project. I think it's important to note public safety, law enforcement, et cetera, judicial system represents 65% of the county's budget. 65% is the public safety. And then our outside general fund, Randy's World, et cetera, $349 million. These are enterprise funds, water, wastewater, and solid waste. So as you can see, we're managing over $430 million of funds on an annual basis, which is really on a daily basis. And that management goes back to the team approach that you talked about, Commissioner. Notably, the past 6 months with the Treasurer's Office, the Investment Advisory Board, the County Auditor, and the meetings we had to work toward a collective financing goal of the Public Safety Center. We had more meetings with them, I think, Joel, than we have in the past, and they're extremely beneficial. We have a lot of talent in this campus, and I want to thank those agencies for helping us get through that process. Here's just a pie chart of our revenues. Obviously, the green shows the sales tax and the significant amount that represents, followed by investment earnings in 2024, and then we have property taxes and so on. This is our general fund expenditures. The takeaway on this slide, and I noted this earlier, things hit me a little bit harder when it's visual, but the green shows 65% of our general fund cost allocated to public safety. I've been in this position for 12 years, and public safety has always been a #1 priority, and I think the past 4 years with this particular board, and I think Commissioner Plesnik is going to speak to that in a few slides, is we're tripling down on that commitment to public safety here in Lake County. This is just a quick bar graph of our sales tax receipts from 2013 to 2024. Obviously, bumps in the road here and there, but end of the day, the takeaway is a positive trend line. It looks like, just talking to Joel and Zach, that we're on pace to hit about $49 million this year in sales tax collections. And I know, I think we are typically 2 to 3 months in the rears as far as seeing those numbers. I know we're getting into the holiday season. Everybody wants to know how was Christmas, how was the retail spend, and we won't know that until the first couple months of 2025. With that, I will quit my comments. I want to hand it back over to Commissioner Plesnik.
Thank you. And before we proceed, a round of applause for our county administrator. Once again, it's an honor to co-counsel this first ever State of the County report with County Administrator Jason Boyd. And we're very excited today to make an announcement that we will have the groundbreaking for our new safety center for Lake County on November 22nd, 2024. Our goal is completion in summer of 2027, but we are going to break the ground and officially start the building process on November 22nd. This is going to be a very exciting event for our community, for all of Lake County, for the city of Painesville. Because as you can see, we're building a facility that won't just do the job, but will fit within Painesville. We understand that this building is going to be standing for 50, 60 plus years, and it's got to fit the Painesville milieu of historic downtown, just like our beautiful courthouse, just like the administration center, city hall, municipal court. And I believe that this is going to, that this effort is going to meet that requirement. But we certainly invite the public to join us on November 22nd for a celebration of all things Lake County as we start the biggest capital project in Lake County history. But we've already achieved great things with Sheriff Franklin and Bruno. In 2023, we opened the Sheriff's Shooting Range and Training Facility, which we've already heard so many times is beyond state of the art. It very likely is the best training facility in the country at this time, and it's giving every police department, every law enforcement agency in Lake County the absolute best training facility, because not only the Sheriff's Office, but all our PDs are invited to participate, train, and learn here. We, of course, thank the Clerk of Court's office for their help in funding this project, because it is going to benefit law enforcement and improve safety for many, many years to come. Looking forward, we plan to continue our fiscal conservative budgeting model. We are balancing the budget without raising taxes. In particular, looking to the Sheriff's Safety Center, we're going to have a $6.4 million annual debt service, well below projected surpluses, beginning in 2025. So we're going to be able to pay for this capital project with existing revenue. We're also maintaining staff neutral budgeting, and we have been on the ball and cooperative and successful with all of our collective bargaining. We love our unions, we have great partnerships with them, and they've worked with us to make sure that our budgets work. Our goal going forward, of course, is to finalize these capital improvements, as well as finish our work with the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan funds. We received about $44 million from the federal government. We've already expended most of it, but we'll be finishing those commitments in 2024 with full expenditure by 2026 per the law. The public safety priority is going to remain number one as we examine our criminal justice system and staffing levels. We anticipate after our groundbreaking that real work will begin on the Safety Center in winter of 2024, once again with completion in the spring or the summer of 2027. And we are already working on next-gen 911 planning. As Mr. Boyd mentioned, we're responsible for the biggest call center, 911 center in Lake County. Second biggest would be Mentors, and it's our job to make sure that our 911 service remains state-of-the-art. Infrastructure is going to remain at the top of our priorities until the completion of the Safety Center, but we recognize that the only way we continue to balance our budget without raising taxes is by growing the pie, growing revenue. And in a county called Lake, that means improving the lake front. And so we're very excited with the possibilities of having a Lake County comprehensive strategic plan that we're going to build in concert with our residents, with our 23 municipalities, and with all relevant nonprofits and stakeholders, because we want this to be our community plan, a master plan to guide us forward. Mr. Boyd actually threw up a slide from the 1960s comprehensive plan. That's the last time Lake County has had a strategic plan, going back to the 1960s. So I don't know about you, but I think that every half century or so, we need a new plan, and we are well overdue. So I'm grateful that we have such in-house expertise, such as Mr. Boyd and Dave Radacci, that will be coupling with a consultant. We have an RFP out, so we will be working on that comprehensive plan next year. We are nothing if not focused on safety and emergency planning, which is why we are going to maintain our commitment with the Perry Nuclear Power Plant, not just to keep those good paying jobs and that affordable energy in our community, but to make sure we remain absolutely safe. And we're very grateful to the EOC for their help with that. Even as we advertise very successfully outside of Lake County, we want our own residents to tour Lake County. It's amazing how many sites there are to see, and we want to invite everyone to visit tourlakecounty.com, the official website of our Lake County Visitors Bureau. Neil Stein, the former the former manager of the Lake County Captains, has been an incredible leader for the Lake County Visitors Bureau. His board is partially appointed by the commissioners, so we partner very closely with Tour Lake County, and our goal is to make Lake County a destination. Just as Mayor Anderson took downtown Willoughby and turned it into a destination for the east side of Cleveland, we want Lake County to be a destination for the east side of the United States. And in partnership with our wineries in Madison and on the east side of the county, we're very confident that Tour Lake County is going to become a rallying cry for so many. With that, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to share about our home and how much we care about Lake County. This is going to be the first of many, many presentations between the President of the Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator. And once again, Mr. Boyd, it was an honor to share this presentation with you, my colleagues, Commissioner Ragovich and Commissioner Hamercheck, as well as all of our elected and appointed officials, staff, and residents, because Lake County isn't just a place, it's all of us. With that, our official county report is concluded. We move to old business. Any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, any new business? I actually have 4 quick items of new business. First of all, Mr. Kelkowski and others have asked for an update from our IT director, and while Auditor Galloway was unable to join us, he did send an email to the Board of Commissioners. I will read it without edit. President Plechnik and Commissioners, in light of the myriad of requests for the IT director to present information to the Board of Commissioners regarding the attempted breach of the Board of Elections and County Networks in May 2021, I will work with Mr. Falcone to develop a timeline and fact sheet for your information on the matter. I will look to present to you in the near future after the prosecutor's office has an opportunity to review. Please also understand that I will present it to you and not Mr. Falcone. I do not believe it is fair to place one of our employees directly into a very public and controversial matter. I will handle. I appreciate your understanding. Additionally, it's come to my attention that there are individuals making public statements about having hacked into our elections network and equipment. I will let the BOE and SOS discuss their security. However, please know that there is no evidence that our county or elections network were breached in a way that allowed for any manipulation of our local election. People's votes are safe. Our network security measures worked. Lastly, I've been made aware that because of the public statements made by individuals claiming to have breached our network and election machines, our county prosecutor has referred these statements and videos on the matter to the Ohio Attorney General's office. I believe this is a prudent step. The public must know we are doing all that we can to protect not only our network, but their vote. Yours in freedom, Christopher Galloway, Lake County Auditor. That was item number 1. Item number 2. We've had many discussions about property taxes, as we saw from our State of the County report. That's actually a very small share of Lake County's revenue. We are principally supported by the sales tax. But nonetheless, we recognize that property taxes are a very big burden collectively from all the different taxing authorities on our residents. And so I've drafted, with the assistance of our county clerk, I've drafted a resolution. This is not passed, it's merely a draft that I propose, and I want to quickly share it with the public. Resolution opposing property tax increases and in support of property tax reform and a 100% property tax exemption for seniors in Lake County and all of Ohio. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds and determines that all former actions have been taken, some boilerplate follows. Whereas this resolution aims to convey our strong opposition to any proposed tax increases targeted at Lake County, Ohio residents, recognizing the invaluable contributions and circumstances of Lake County residents, we believe it is crucial to protect their financial stability and ensure they can maintain a decent standard of living. And whereas created in the state of Ohio's operating budget, the Joint Committee on Property Taxation Review and Reform is tasked with reviewing Ohio's property tax system and making recommendations regarding property tax to the General Assembly. And whereas the Lake County Board of Commissioners encourages the Joint Committee on Property Taxation Review and Reform and the Ohio General Assembly to reform the property tax laws so that inflation does not impose a phantom tax on our residents or tax seniors out of their homes. And whereas the Lake County Board of Commissioners concurs with the Village of Timberlake, Ohio Mayor John Mara's proposal that Ohio stop taxing unrealized gains by increasing the assessed value of owner-occupied homes prior to a sale. In the alternative, Ohio should consider a cap on increasing the assessed value of owner-occupied homes, such as Ohio's quote-unquote Save Our Homes 3% cap. And whereas senior citizens often live on fixed incomes, relying heavily on retirement savings and Social Security benefits as their primary sources of income, and whereas, as a result, many seniors in Ohio are being taxed out of their homes, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of Lake County, Ohio concurs with Commissioner John Plechnik, who called for a, quote, 100% property tax exemption for seniors, end quote, in his guest column in the Columbus Dispatch on April 21, 2023, and whereas our residents will be forced to pay these unjust taxes on unrealized gains next year, and it is urgent that legislation is adopted before that time, and whereas Lake County residents have spent a significant portion of their lives working and contributing to the growth and development of Ohio and should not be subject to heavier tax burdens, and whereas Lake County residents and all residents in Ohio face the insidious tax known as inflation in the form of increasing healthcare costs and rising living expenses, which already strain their limited resources. And whereas many Lake County residents face an inflationary property tax increase of 30% or more as a result of the state-mandated sexennial revaluation in which all real property is reappraised. And whereas, as a result, many Lake County homeowners in Ohio are being taxed out of their homes. And whereas the Lake County population deserves respect, appreciation, and support for their contributions and continued well-being, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Ohio, does hereby express our ongoing opposition to any proposed tax increases on Lake County residents and all residents in Ohio, and respectfully request the great state of Ohio to stop taxing unrealized gains and adopt a 100% property tax exemption for seniors. I share that as food for thought for my colleagues and for all of us as we seek to fight back against these unfair inflationary gains. My third item is before the next commissioners meeting. It is election day, and I sincerely hope that every resident takes the time to vote. We're not here to tell you how to vote. We are here to tell you to vote, and I know that our Board of Elections has done everything possible to make voting accessible and safe in Lake County, Ohio. Lastly, we also have one other holiday coming up before the next Board of Commissioners meeting. Happy Halloween, Lake County. Any further new business before we adjourn into executive session? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session. No business will be conducted thereafter for legal imminent litigation.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Begovic.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes, we stand adjourned.